Just a menace. Just a menace.
Hello and welcome back to Menace to Sobriety, your weekly check-in every Friday night for those of you out there that are on the same or similar journey to myself, just a journey of trying to get yourself in the best possible mental state for the people that you love. It doesn't have to be that you're on a sober journey, although mine is based around my sober journey, but I'm a nutter. I've got a couple of screws loose, and I like to sit and wonder why, to talk, to dissect it, and also to share everything that I'm learning about my journey, about myself, about what's going on. Because, you know, the first podcast dropped last Friday, and I was blown away by the response. There was such an overwhelming response of people connecting with it, people that need it and use it. But it is your weekly check-in. It's like an hour to yourself. It's time to just work on yourself, and also I like to drop it on the Friday to kick that Friday FOMO, that Friday feeling, because if you are on this sober journey, and I know a lot of you that tuned in and are tuning in are on this sober journey, weekends can be awkward and pretty lonely and confusing, and it's such a hard thing to do, to put positive things in place when negative stuff is so appealing. It really is, and the weekend can just be like, why am I doing this? But this is what this is for, man. Sit back, relax, take the edge off your Friday night with my voice, not the normal things you'd use, and sit back, relax. I like to talk about what I've had going on. I've had a very eventful week this week. Loads has happened, so I want to share that with you, and also want to theme the podcast around something special each week. And this week I'm talking about and theming the podcast around you not being your thoughts. You are not your thoughts, and this kind of ties into everything that happened to me this week, because my thoughts often just take me in directions that are not needed. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're futile missions my mind goes on. My mind runs my missions. It's like my head's a game of GTA, and just when I'm wandering around having a laugh, just driving a car or something, a little side mission kicks off and my mind goes in this weird direction. And I've been doing some research into it and thinking about it a lot, and I've worked out that, you know, we are not our thoughts. In fact, it's like you get freedom from your thoughts. How can I put this? You are not your thoughts. You get freedom from your thoughts when you become aware of the awareness of thoughts, when you're aware of your thoughts. Does that make sense? Because your thoughts just pop up, right? And they're like, and do you know what I've realised as well? That there are some thoughts that have popped up, and because we haven't become aware of them being thoughts, that they've just popped up, they've been allowed to grow and grow and grow into facts, right? Like, for instance, a common one that I've had, because it's happened so many times, is that people just don't like me, and there's something wrong with me in regards to, like, you know, I'm doing something wrong, or I'm horrible, because people turn their backs on me. And it, you know, it started with one person that didn't like me anymore, then another person didn't like me anymore, and now I've got this like collection of people throughout my life that I've fallen out with or don't like me. And a thought has been put in my mind that this is me, and this is because of the way I behave or things that I've done, or just in general, people don't like me, and I've let that thought grow and grow into a fact. So now every time there's a conflict, or every time something goes wrong and someone gets the ump with me, I go, yes, see, people just don't like me because it's me, you know, and you allow it to grow. But you have freedom from that when you realise that thoughts aren't facts. Thoughts are not your reality. And the mad thing is, we create our world, we create our view of the world around our thoughts, right? Around what we think are facts. So if you think no one likes you, you will find proof of that, and then you will confirm it. But when you have freedom from your thoughts, and you can see your thoughts as pockets of energy in your mind that are growing if you don't squash them out, you know, it's like you confirm them, you know. So this whole episode is about thoughts, you know, and thoughts not being you. So just visualize that for me for a second before we move on to everything I've done this week. I want you to visualize in your mind your thoughts, whatever you think about yourself, not being real and not being factual. You may have had something happen to you this week. You may have been doing something, or there may be a thought from your childhood that you have been just confirming, and confirming. I'll tell you what my one is. I don't want to get into too much detail, but I have people in my family, people in my friends now that I don't speak to really, and I can never quite put my finger on what's happened or what's going on. But the common denominator is always me. So there's this thought there that has grown and grown and grown. But now, through the ability of being able to have the awareness that they're thoughts, I can see that that is just something that I'm creating in my mind. There's many different reasons for whatever's going on in my life, but it doesn't have to be what I think it is. I'm probably rattling on now, but I want you to just keep that into your mind that, you know, when you're walking down the road, when you're coming out of work on a Friday night, when you are meant to be going home and spending the evening with your missus and your kids, and you walk past a pub and you see people sat outside having a cigarette, having a drink, laughing and joking, you see drunk people around, and a thought pops into your head that goes, why can't I do that? Why am I not allowed to do that? I'm missing out on so much fun because I just took it too far one day, or because I can't control it, and why me? And this thought builds in your mind that turns into something that confirms something that you feel about yourself, something that confirms that you are weak, something confirms that you are missing out, and that is fun. And all of a sudden that thought consumes you. It takes over everything that you've learned about your sobriety. It takes over everything that you've been working towards and everything you know, that actually standing in there getting drunk isn't fun for you anymore because of the carnage it causes afterwards, and the fact that you'll carry on when you get home on your own, or you'll end up getting drugs or whatever. But that thought, this is where the power comes in. This is the work that I put into myself, and this is the tool that has saved me through all of this time of sobriety, and that continues to save me, is when them thoughts come in, is having the awareness, right? Is having the awareness that that is a thought. It's not real. Oh, detach it from me, see it as a ball of energy in my mind. So there's a little thought there growing, trying to trick me. There's a thought that is growing there. Probably a thought that's powered from past experiences and habits and just rituals and just doing the same stuff. Normally on a Friday night, you'd walk into a pub, and that is just where the thought is created. And as soon as you look at it as a ball of energy, suddenly it feels different. It doesn't feel like you're compelled to do that. And it's the same when you think negatively of yourself. Create a ball of energy in your mind, look at it as a ball of energy and be like, yeah, that's a weird thought that's growing there. I'm just going to stamp that out, and you detach yourself from it. Your awareness of it being a thought, just focus on that word awareness. Your awareness of it being a thought takes it from being a compulsion to being your mind, and you come away from it and it becomes a ball of energy, and you can look at it for what it is, a thought. We are not our thoughts. Our thoughts do not dictate how we behave. I hope that made sense. I felt like I was rattling on a little bit there, but I've been thinking about that so much. It's been a thought, but I was aware it was a thought. Now I sound like a crank. Now I sound like I'm some sort of conspiracy theorist around minds and thinking. But anyway, listen, I've had a really mental week this week, and I'll tell you how my thoughts and the way I think and look at myself plays into all of these different things. But yesterday, for instance, the story broke about Hugh Edwards being charged with having 40-something indecent images of the worst kind on his phone of children, sickening stuff. And yesterday, this stuff really winds me up, just because I've got a bee in my bonnet about the BBC, how they treated me anyway, but I've got a bee in my bonnet about those type, I'm not going to use the words because it will restrict the video, but those types of wrong'uns, you know what I'm talking about, right? The worst type of wrong'uns. And because I'm a father of 3 daughters, and just through, you know, stuff that's happened in my family, to be honest with you, not through me personally, but in my wider family, I've really, really, really got to be in my bonnet about it. And especially when massive corporations and industries hide it, cover it up, protect it. When what happened to me, for those of you that don't know, I got thrown off TV and all that back in the day. But yeah, and I was waiting for the sentencing because I like to point out the hypocrisy, and I knew it was coming. And yesterday I tweeted before the sentencing came, prepare yourself for some 2-tier sentencing. I used this catchphrase that is predominant with some big figures just to wind people up. But, you know, and I said, prepare for some injustice here. And it got a 6 month suspended sentence. And I was just shocked, man. I was just blown away when they got the opportunity to make an example. And all I did was I compared it to how, because I knew, I just wanted to compare the injustices. So I compared it to how some of our writers were charged, and I 100% agree that, the writers and everything, and it's just this, I'm not ranting now on some random stuff. I'm just telling you how this plays into my thoughts because of what happened, because it kicked up such a stink. There was a massive sort of kickback on this, a backlash kind of thing. But anyway, what I simply did was I simply confirmed my thoughts, which were that the sentencing he got was nowhere near as harsh as the sentencing that the rioters got. And I specifically pointed out that an old person, an OAP, 62-year-old, had got done for shouting stuff at the police. Now, it was kind of inaccurate. He'd shouted stuff at the police and he'd thrown something, but it was irrelevant. To me, anyone that was in the riot should not, they should 100% got charged and disciplined and got punishment, 100%. But not more than a wrong-un. Do you know what I mean? A wrong-un of that degree. And he got a suspended sentence, and it wound me up. And I've done a video about it saying, how come this guy gets this, but this guy gets this? And then the backlash, majority of people agree, but the backlash of people going, well, actually, that old person didn't just shout that. What he actually did was he done this. And I'm like, but still, is it as bad as that? And anyway, normally I went viral on Twitter, right? So a couple of million views or whatever, and 20,000 likes and all of that stuff with this video. And normally this level of people arguing and backlash would have sent my head west, because I swear I got PTSD from when I got cancelled, the amount of abuse I got online. But I was just having so much fun with it. I'm not going to lie. I was arguing with trolls all day yesterday. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, winding them up. Like there was one guy that was like, "Oh, is there any chance you can translate your like working class gutter accent?" I was like, "No, mate, just stick to plain soggy biscuit," and all of this stuff. I was going wild. But the point of what I'm saying is, I used to look at all of these whenever I go viral, and it happens like whenever I talk on something seriously controversial. And by the way, that's what I love doing. I love focusing my comedic energy and my creativity around important subjects and poking at inconsistencies with the industry and the world and everything like that. But you get a massive backlash from it. You get, when you're talking about opinionated stuff, people come at you with opinions. I never used to be able to handle it. I used to take it very personally, because mixed in with that is just people giving you abuse online, just calling me all sorts of names and bringing up my past. And I had to deal with all of that yesterday. But I laughed at it. And that is because what used to happen in my mind, and we go back to you are not your thoughts, right? What used to happen in my mind is, and this will happen to you or anyone else out there, if you criticize someone, right? If you criticize someone and they react to it, like if you say something derogatory or personal to someone and they react to it and they blow up, it's because you've touched a nerve. It's because there's an element of truth in it, right? And if someone has cheated, say for instance, cheated on their bird, and you say, yeah, but you're a cheater, he's going to kick off, right? Because he feels bad about it or whatever. And what used to happen is when people used to say things about me online, my mind would create these thoughts that verified what they were saying. Yeah, they are right. So I'd go mad, and it would give me anxiety, and I'd be like, I don't want to do this. Why am I posting this stuff online? People are finding me out. Whereas now I look at them as thoughts, and I know who I am. I know who I am. I know what I'm doing in life. I know where my time is truly spent. And my time is spent working on myself, trying not to use everything that I've got, like my social media following, my artistic, creative way of doing things, trying not to just use that for myself. That's a big important thing for me, because I can become self-indulged, egotistical, selfish, and about what I can get. I can, if I don't keep it in check. I think we all can, but I'm just being honest. So I use my time to share what I've got, use it for mental health, reduction in men's decline of mental health, my charity, this podcast, as well as making money and making funny and making money, and my family. and that's it. And I know that my focus is on being the best version of myself possible. So what they say now, when them thoughts grow in my mind and I turn them into bubbles of energy, I'm like, that's wrong, that one. That's not even right, because actually I believe I'm a good person. I may have used to have been a knobhead, but right now that ball of energy is bollocks, and it goes poof, and it's gone. So that really is the key to my sobriety, man, and everything I'm going through is just differentiating between me and these balls of energy that I create about myself and then reinforce. But yeah, very relaxed at the moment. And we had quite a few people messaging and talking about the podcast, saying that they found it quite relaxing, that my tonality is a little bit different to when I first started this podcast. And I can't really watch the earlier episodes of the podcast because it does trigger me a little bit, because I look at myself as so scared and worried and anxious, and oh God, I was dealing with so much shit that I'd done wrong, you know. That this is one of the reasons why sobriety is so difficult, because, and I've said this before, but one of the main reasons sobriety is so difficult is the main point of drinking and drugs is to escape reality, right? The main point of consuming yourself or just filling yourself up with alcohol or drugs is an overwhelming feeling of being drunk and being like wavy or high off your nut, or just like all over the place and wild in your brain and saying what you want to. It detaches you from reality. It's escapism. And when I watch them early episodes of Menace to Sobriety, when I go back, and feel free to do it if you're joining the journey now, because I got sober on this podcast, you know, I can't remember, it was like 30 days in that I'd done the first one, or 50 days or 20 days or something like that, and I'd done it every week. But when you can't escape your thoughts at the beginning of sobriety, that's why it's so hard. That's why so many people can't get past certain amounts of time, or they don't. It's because you're going sober, all of the thoughts and feelings and things that you've done wrong, everything that you've done wrong, and the stuff that you're gutted about, and the stuff that you're ashamed of, and the guilt, all of it comes up. And there's a level, probably about, just for argument's sake, probably say just below your chin, there's a level that all of these thoughts, feelings and fears, and all of these things that you don't like the feeling of, whether it's stuff that's happened to you in the past, whether it's stuff that you've done, whether it's guilt and shame are the big ones for men especially. But when they all come up to about here, you used to have a nice little drink, couple of beers, and they just dip down. If they got any higher or they were powerful, you'd get absolutely smashed and they'd be gone for weeks. And they'd start seeping back, you have a couple more beers. When you go sober, they come all the way up here, and this bit here, when they're just about to come into your head, when they get to here, you are compelled to drink. You are shaky, you know, not from alcohol withdrawal, from thoughts and feelings. And it's there. And then that is me bubbling on this podcast. The first 20, 30 episodes, I'm like, oh my God, I'm dealing with all this stuff, everything that I said, everything I've done, everything, how I behaved, how am I going to fix it? And every now and then it got past my chin and went into my mind, and I cried my eyes out on the podcast. But that is the work. That's the sobriety. That is the work. People often say, what is the work? That's the work. Because that's you. That is you, right? Those thoughts and feelings is you, right? So, you know, when people say I'm finding myself, that's what you're going to find, man. You're going to find stuff that is really, really uncomfortable about yourself, and you're going to find stuff that you don't want to sit with. But if you want to get sober, and if you want to stop escaping life through alcohol and drugs or dangerous behaviors or whatever, if you want to be happy and comfortable in your own skin, if you want to be able to sit there, it has to get past your chin. It has to come up to your head. You have to cry it out. You have to think about why you feel like that, and you can't suppress it. You got to let it dip off and die away naturally, and then you've got to let it come again, and you've got to do that over and over and over and over until you understand what it is you're crying about and why you're upset. And at some point, somewhere along the line, you'll be sitting there with this tonality in your voice where you're like, I fucking completely know myself now. And the accountability that I have put into what I've done or how I've behaved or what's gone on or what I've been through or how people have treated me. It's enough. I've done it. I've worked through it. Or I've worked through that bit. And I'm prepared to work through more. And it's just like a reality check, you know. Right, so all of that did happen. I did do all of that. Good. So let's process it. Wicked. Can I move on from it now? Thank you. And that's how you get a little bit more comfortable day by day. But you can't avoid it. You can't avoid that work. I went to counselling to do it. I mean, I'd advise that for anyone, if you can afford it, to go and sit down 10 sessions, whatever you need. I'll tell you what I was going to say. I was going to save this for the end of the podcast, but it's so important. I've got so much I wanted to talk about, but I've kind of gone off on a bit of a thing there. But I was going to say this at the end, but I'm going to just say it now. If you really want to find out who you are, talk. Say it out loud. I mean, look at what I'm doing now. I'm sat here just chatting absolute nonsense, right? But somehow, some of it is making sense. It's coming out of me. It's me. Like, who are you? Right? Are you who you are to your partner? No, because you're a partner. Are you who you are to your parents? No, because you're a child. Are you who you are at work? No, because you're an employee. You're behaving a certain way all the time. Get on your own and talk out loud and write it down. Or just get on your own, sit down and write it or type it. Express, right? Look at what I'm doing now. I'm emptying my head. And this is who I am. An insecure, broken, on the mend addict that's coming to terms with liking himself again. Who are you? Who are you? Because you're not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that looks at your thoughts. But who is that? Write it down, find out. You have to empty, you have to brain fart onto a piece of paper out loud like this, or type it out and just type. That's your homework. Do it in the comments if you want, but then everyone's going to know who you are. But do it before the next episode of this podcast. Sit down for an hour. If you've got ADHD, maybe give yourself 17 hours to do an hour's work. But sit down for an hour and write everything that's in your mind, and then read it back, and then welcome to you. This has been mad, but yeah, I'm going to move on. So, but again, this really does filter into this as well. This whole week has been about calmness and not being my thoughts. Like, I had my first gig back. Where did I go? Hold on. Wellingborough at the Castle Theatre. Sold it out. 500-600 people in there. And Kev, my comedy director, big shout out to Kev, love you, man. He doesn't just direct me on stage and help me fine tune the show and get it in order and craft the material. He also manages my mental health and my mental state before the show. He knows how to calm me down, make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind before the show. And he reminds me of things, you know, simple things like, you know, you're funny, you've got funny bones, you don't have to try. They've come here to see you, they're out for a good time, they want to have a good time, you can handle anything that happens, and all this stuff to calm your mind down so you're ready. Because with stand-up comedy, and it is my life's passion, it is my life. Stand-up comedy from the age of 14, when I first saw Lee Evans, was what I wanted to do more than anything, more than films, TV, more than comedy. I'm prolific for making comedy sketches online. I was one of the first in the UK to do it. I love acting. I am an actor. But stand-up comedy is wow. Yeah, for me it's like, wow, how did I do that? How did people do that? When I look at it, I'm like, how did people do that? How did they do that? You know, I want to do that. I want to learn how to do that. And that was my life's work, my dedication. You know, from the moment I worked out that you could be a stand-up comedian if you wanted to by going to comedy clubs. That's all I wanted to do. And there's so much more to it. But the point of what I was getting to is, if you walk, one of the main fundamental things of stand-up comedy is, if the audience doesn't trust you, if you walk out on stage and you don't look like you know what you're doing, if they see a glimmer of weakness, if they can look at you and they can see that you're shy or unsure or nervous, if they can see that, they can feel that, you've lost them, right? I mean, they're still there, they still might laugh, but they can't completely let themselves go. You know, they don't feel safe in your hands. I learnt this and I stick by it. It's like one of the fundamental, most important things to my stagecraft when I walk out on stage is that I am more confident than anyone in the room, and they can see that I am supposed to be there, that I'm meant to be there, and they are safe within my hands for however long I'm on the stage. So they let go, and they're like, oh, this is meant to happen. This is cool. This is where we're meant to be. This is who we're meant to be listening to, and we can trust. We can trust in him making us laugh. You don't always get it right, but if you've got them like that, you've got them. You've got their attention. They're not going, I'm not sure, because they make their decision on you pretty quick, sharpish. So Kev is there to get my mind straight, to get me into that right frame of mind. And he said to me after the show, he was like, wow, I was waiting for it to change, because normally we're having a laugh all day. It gets a couple hours before the show and suddenly it dawns on me what I'm about to do. I panic that I don't know everything I'm going to say. And then it's a process to wind me down until we're about to walk out on stage. So I'm back to like, yeah, living the dream, Dan O'Reilly, let's go. I'm a geezer. But he said that there was no transition, and we just rolled seamlessly into the show and then out the back end of it. And I was so chilled. And you know why that is? Because all week I've been thinking about my thoughts and not being my thoughts. And I've had the awareness of the thoughts. So as soon as these thoughts popped into my mind, oh shit, do you know what you're doing? Oh shit, are you going to say something wrong? Oh shit, are they going to like you? Are they going to laugh? I was like, boom, these bags of energy have got no place in my mind this week. I was just on top of managing my thoughts this week. And I seemed to slip into it nice and calm. And that was Saturday night. That was really calm. I'll tell you what else happened at the show that I just want to talk about. First of all, there was this crazy, crazy woman. I don't know who you are, but I love you to pieces because you made my night. I mean, normally I'm like, don't shout things out because I'm in the middle of jokes, and if you heckle, I absolutely rip the granny out of you. But I think I engaged chatting to this woman, or something was said. I can't remember what it was. I asked the audience something, and I don't know if she was drunk or what it was, but she just had like this weird Tourette's where she just kept shouting, suck it and see, suck it and see. This like middle-aged woman, suck it and see. Yeah, look, I'll see if I can cut it in. Have a look. This is what happened. Suck it and see. What the fuck? Madam, have you got a penis? As soon as she said that, she went, well done, suck it and see. What the fuck did I say? You never know these days. And yeah, she carried on doing it. So look, this is her doing it again. Son, you're a bit of a pussy, right? You can't fight. He did not say suck it and see, you fucking dirty bitch. Mate, hang on. No, listen, and yeah, and it just was crazy. And then I met her after the show. We had a little laugh. So that made me kind of happy that there was a lady like that felt so free, so calm, so that she could let go so much. I mean, I'm not saying come to my show and shout out random stuff because it ruins it, but it just made me laugh that it was her doing it, where there was all these absolute nutters in, but it was her. And then this beautiful moment came about after the show, and I've had this moment, I think, at every show. We've had 34, wow, God, even saying it, 34 sellout shows. It does blow my mind. It really does, actually. Fucking hell, I just got a funny feeling with that. 34 sold out shows. If you imagine, before I got sober, I spent a year trying to sell out the Troxy, which was 2,000 tickets, or 6 months at least. We put it on sale for a year, but 6 months pushing it, and it sold out. It sold out, but that was it. I was doing one big show like that. I'd done the Troxy, I'd done that, and then I'd done the O2, Indigo at the O2, which was 2,000 people. In the space of 5 years, I'd done them 2 shows. And in the last year, we've done 33 sellout shows all around the country. 35,000 tickets. Sorry, it is surreal. And at every gig, oh wow, it must be the sobriety. Sorry, I'm just having a moment there. I'm trying not to get upset. I don't know why that's fucking, yeah, that's quite big. There was such a time when sorry. think it's just because I said I'm not going to cry on this fucking podcast anymore. I think it's because fucking hell, it's a thought. What am I thinking? See, now I'm trying to visualise my thought. I'll tell you why that's upset me, because I look back at when my tour got cancelled 10 years ago, and I had always thought I'd never be a comedian. I always thought that only, special people. It's weird, isn't it? When you have your dream, your aspirations. I thought only special people can do that, and I'll never be able to achieve it. And that thought must have grown. And then when I got my tour and I started being a comedian and I was on TV, and then it got cancelled and I lost my TV show and lost everything, that thought was like, it isn't a thought, it's reality, it's real, and it consumed me. And shortly after that my father died, but the shame coming up to my chin, the shame and guilt and embarrassment of losing that and not fulfilling that dream and not becoming a comedian back then, it was too much. And I drank and fucking seshed hard for a long time. And I think that for some reason that's just come back to me. I don't know why that came back to me then. I think it's just saying, selling out 33 shows is, it's crazy. Because I remember me, it's special. It's a very special thing to me. Anyway, but this is also special, man. And it's, it's mad that you, that's why sobriety is hard as well. Your achievements, you can relate back to tough times, and you can find it hard. I think I find it hard to, it's like imposter syndrome. Maybe you find it hard to love yourself, to accept that you deserve the opportunities that happen now, because how you've changed things, because you spend so long beating yourself up, and that's what I felt. I suddenly felt then like the old me, you fucked it up, it's your fault and you deserve this. And now I feel like, I can't believe that we've turned it around. Anyway, that was a moment. But here's another moment, and this happens at every single show now. Every single show without fail, I meet someone that has watched this podcast, that has followed my journey online, the ups, the downs, the trials, the tribulations, and has related to it, and in turn made an effort to change their way. And I'm going to show you a clip now of a lad that, for some reason, and I don't always do it, I'm not going to lie to you and say that I go through my inbox replying to people, because I can't do it. That's why I created this podcast. And that's why I've created Men and Their Emotions, my Facebook group, because I used to have so many people reach out to me and I felt horrific that I couldn't reply to them all and help them, and just guilty that I didn't have the time, or I couldn't mentally do it. I just didn't want to go through and speak to everyone about their problems. That I created the podcast for people to listen to, and I created the charity, so a peer-to-peer support network online where people can help each other and offer advice, because I just couldn't do it. But every now and then when I do have time, and it's not taking me away from spending time with my kids, so if I'm travelling or or I'm just about to go to sleep or something like that, I'll get in the inbox and I'll have a good look. And I must have been doing this one time a long time ago, and there was these loads and loads of these kind of weird, crazy voice notes from someone late at night that was clearly high on coke, off their nut, and saying some pretty dark stuff. And I'd forgotten all about it, to be honest with you. But must have replied and said some stuff to this guy, like I'm talking to you now. And I met him at the show, this fella, and he played me the voice note, and this is how that went. Have a watch.
Hey, how are you?
Nice to meet you, mate. You enjoy it,
yeah? Yeah, I'm good.
Good man. Good man.
I don't know if you remember, I messaged you off my nut once, and you've always sent me back.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Really?
Yeah, we spoke for a bit on Insta. And,
what, you was off your nut, and what was I saying? What was I saying?
I was saying, I was thinking, like, just dark shit, to be honest. We spoke for a bit.
Oh yeah, fucking hell.
Honestly, fucking...
Oh wow, let's have a look.
Have a look, yeah. I'll have a look.
Cool. Let me just see if I can remember. Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you remember that?
I remember. How you getting on?
Honestly, if it weren't for him, you mate, I wouldn't be here now. Honestly.
Really?
Honestly, yeah, 60 days sober today.
What?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Fucking
man.
right.
Honestly.
My podcast is back now.
Is it back?
It's back. I've
Nice
done my
one.
first episode the other night. Stay on this journey with me, mate.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
100%?
Awesome, mate. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And we'll keep checking in.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Fucking, I love that.
Fucking honestly, if it weren't for you, mate, I wouldn't be here. Honestly.
Wow.
Should we get a little picture then?
Yeah. Fucking hell, man.
Do you want me to take a photo?
Oh, nearly made me cry. You're a legend, mate. And well done.
Thank you,
This is the hardest part right now.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I promise you, it just gets better and better. It won't get easier, but it gets better and better. And
Yeah.
like right now, you'll be shaky, and it'll take even a year. You'll think you'll think you've gone so far and everything's so good, but it gets better and better and better. So just trust it. Trust it.
Yeah. No, I went to CA after. Obviously, I saw Kirk's one. I found about CA through that, and obviously I just kept smashing it. And then obviously it just went fucking wrong. I was getting kicked out of my ass and all that. But yeah, I got my chips here. Look, fucking.
My man.
I'm 90 days. I'm not 6 days. I'm 90 days.
Fucking my man.
Yeah, man.
Look at that.
Yeah, I know. Fucking upside down, mate.
Worst thing about these chips, they're perfect for a bump. Well done, my
Nice one,
brother.
brother. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Love to
Love
meet
you,
you,
man.
mate. I'll
You
see
stay
you
in
soon,
touch,
yeah?
please.
Yeah, we'll do, yeah, I will.
Good man. Pretty touching stuff, man. I nearly got upset there, and I had to sort of, all right, keep in touch because I didn't want to get too into it and start crying in front of everyone. But it made me feel on purpose, you know, and I don't mean like I've done something on purpose. It made me feel like I've got a purpose, and a massive thing with it is the feeling that something positive can come from so much negativity, you know. If that doesn't inspire you to talk about your problems with the people around you or online or be open about your problems, you know, nothing will. That should inspire people to be open about what they're going through, because if the only thing it ever does is make someone else feel like they can open up, then fucking what power is that? To be able to do that. And it blows my mind that there's him and probably other people out there that have watched me, watched what I've said and gone, no, I'm going to try and make a change. And that's got to be the most important thing I've ever done, and the most important stuff I've ever decided to do. And that has come from sobriety. That has come from, and this is what you need to do if you're struggling right now. This is what's going to save you if you're going to struggle right now. If you're struggling right now, if you're going through it and you can't seem to find the answers or a way to stop your behaviour or stop the cycle that you're in, accountability is your friend. Accountability will save you. And by accountability, what I mean is owning up to your shit and just being like, this is me, saying it out loud, telling your friends, telling your family, telling everyone around you, you feel like this, you've been doing this is how you are, and you want to change. Accountability will save you. It really will. Right. I hope it hasn't been a depressing one, because I felt like I kind of got a bit depressed. I'm going to do a load of your questions now because I asked you guys to send in some voice notes and do questions. So I'm going to do that. But I hope it hasn't been a depressing one. Normally there's a lot more laughter and fun and jokes and games. But games? We've never played games. That's weird. I just started talking. I'm just chatting shit now. But listen, I hope it hasn't been too depressing. It's real. That's what's more important than this being funny, is it's being real. And I hope you don't mind that, because my brand, I am a comedian. I spend all day long just trying to make people laugh, whether it's professionally or in my house or with my friends, all I do. And this is my therapy. So I hope you don't mind that it's not laugh after laugh. This is important stuff to me. And I'll happily lose a few people that say, Martin, you're not very entertaining, you're not funny, to have a few people say, fuck me, that hit home, that I connected with that bit. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do your questions now, and I'm going to do this every week. So if you're tuned in, if you're listening to this, get on my Instagram. That's Menace to Sobriety, the Instagram, and leave a voice note on there. Leave a voice note, DM a voice note to the inbox on Menace to Sobriety. Instagram is where we do that. And I've got a couple of comments as well. There was a comment. I normally put a video up and ask you to comment on the video. So there's a couple of them, and I'm going to start straight away and play them for you. Here we go. Here's the first one.
OMG Dapper, I am so thrilled that this podcast is back. I have been waiting endlessly. I'm curious about, how do you maintain your sobriety so thoroughly and well Possibly without, I don't know if you go to a 12-step program, but do you? And I'm only asking that because that has been monumental for me in my recovery. And I don't know what I would do without a sponsor and all the fearless women in the program who are like sisters and a little squad of family. So I'm just curious because I've been dry before many, many times and I've never been able to make it. But here we go in 11 months and I could not be happier. So sharing the joy with all of you.
All right, what's your name? Carolina. First of all, I love the accent, and it's like super cool. I love the accent. It's so joyous hearing your voice. That was very, that you made it feel like sobriety is fun. First of all, I just want to say that. Listen, I haven't done a 12-step program. I have done meetings, many meetings. But I haven't done the 12-step program. I think when I do have more time in my life to commit to that, I will look at the 12-step program. I think it's held a lot of value. Do you know what, right? The 12-step program and the meetings, it's like a community. It's like you need a community. Now, I think that because I have social media and because I have this podcast and because I have... I've built a little community of sober friends around me that I lean into, and especially because I've got Men and Their Emotions, the Facebook group that I created, we have a moderators group that we all talk in and stuff like that. I have like a community outside of the meetings that I talk to and lean into that hold me accountable for my actions. So I definitely lean on that. But I think if you haven't got that, the meetings and the 12-step program are exactly what you need. You can't do it alone. It's just as simple as that. Our minds are too dark, and if you have not worked out how to control your thoughts, and if you have not worked out to become aware of your thoughts yet, you 100% need people to lean on. So but to answer your question, Carolina, on how I do it, how I stay sober, it is working on mental resilience for me. The whole thing for me was trying to work out why I felt like I needed to drink, why I was compelled to use drugs, and why I was ill, why it was making me ill, why I was addicted to doing it every weekend and whenever life got too hard. And I basically threw myself into like a research program where I was like, find everything out, and the podcast was my research, and I continued to work on mental resilience. And I've done that by changing my lifestyle completely. And routine is how, Carolina, it's routine. I know that when I feel a bit funny, I've got to work out, but I try and anticipate feeling funny by working out every morning. So I'll get up, I'll get my gym in. If I'm too busy, I'll make sure I do it before I go to bed. It burns off the anxiety. It gives me a hit of dopamine that I need, that I otherwise would be craving from chocolate or session or whatever. But more really, the work is what I've explained in this episode, which is letting your feelings coming up and sitting with them and dealing with them. That is the true work, I believe, and I believe that's how I've stayed sober. But my community as well, you know, my community of people that follow me on the Instagram and the YouTube and that comment and write in my comments, even the community on my comedy channel, Dapper Laughs, that whole community talking about sobriety and mental health, and my Men and Their Emotions group. So thank you for your question. Next up, I've got one here from, I think it's Macy. What can I do when my husband cannot see or will never admit that alcohol is problematic for him? So Macy here sent me a question saying, what can I do? My husband can't see or won't admit that he's got an alcohol problem. I think that the key there, Macy, if that is your name, I'm not sure if that's just your Instagram bio, but basically what you're asking me is, what can you do with your husband? He's an addict, or alcohol's been a problem and you don't know what to do. My advice to you would be focus on the problems that it causes you and highlight them. So why don't you take a month, take 4 weeks, don't tell him you're doing it, but make a list of every problem that his drinking has caused you or your family. Not just him. You can, you know, if he was late for work, put that down. But if he shouted at you and was horrible because he was hungover, or if he's crashed a car, or if he's missed this or done that, make a list of the things you can think of in general anyway, that how the alcohol affects you, yeah, and then just list the things in a month, because I believe that the biggest problem that we have as alcoholics, addicts, is that we love drinking. We need it so much to escape and to relax and to avoid reality, that we will make any excuse, any excuse as to why it's a problem for everyone else, but it ain't a problem for us, or why it isn't an issue and we should be fine, and everyone's blowing it out of proportion. It's not a problem, and da 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 da. Basically, we're blind to it. I was blind to it. Even the first time I went sober, I didn't do it for me. I'd done it because I was getting shit from the missus, and I was like, all right, I'll do this for a bit to show everyone that I don't have a problem, but I'm going back to it at some point. It wasn't until I went back to it and it got well out of hand that I was like, wow, you seriously have an issue. So there's two things. One, list everything in a period of time and just say, look, I've taken the time to list this. Show it to him. Can you see this? Can you see it? The other thing that I would do is I would say to him, right, listen, I think that you've got a problem with alcohol, and I think that it is causing negative things to happen in our lives. If you don't think you have, ask him to try something. Say, if you don't think you've got a problem, do me a favour and try 4 weeks off it and tell me if you struggle. Just say to him, if you do not have a problem with drink, try 4 weeks off it. And also, when he starts complaining about not wanting to take 4 weeks off it, because I've got a mate that's doing this at the moment with me, I said to him, he went 3 months without alcohol, and I said to him, are you enjoying your sobriety? And he's like, oh, I'm not really sober, I'm just taking a break from beer because, he was making me feel shit. He said, I'm going back on it this Friday, I'm getting back to it, I'm having a drink, but I'm not doing gear no more. I was like, all right, well, as soon as you start drinking, you'll do gear. He's like, no, I won't. I was like, as soon as you start drinking, you will start doing gear again. He's like, no, I won't. I'm not like you, I can choose not to. I'm like, okay. No problem at all. And I'm not going to drink much anyway. I'm just going to have a couple of beers here and there. Well, he's been on the smash constantly, and he's been back on the gear. And when I said to him, how are you? You're back on the gear now? He's like, yeah, because I choose to. Because I chose to. I fancied it and I chose to. Well, I used to choose to as well. I used to choose to do it all the fucking time. So people think that they choose to because they fancy it. All right, take 4 weeks off it, not choosing to do it, and see how much you struggle. Put that to him. And then what he would do is, during that 4 weeks, it will become a hell of a lot more apparent to him how much he was dependent on it. But, yeah. I only get annoyed by it, and as you can tell, I get a little bit pissed off when I talk about it because I see myself. I'm not getting pissed off at my pal. He can do whatever he wants. He's a fully grown 40-year-old adult, and it's not my place to judge him. But... you see yourself. You look back and you see yourself, and you just want to grab yourself by the scruff of the neck, don't you? All right, here we go. James writes, what are your views on using cannabis to stop drinking? My view is that it's nowhere near as harmful to the body, and the chances are you aren't going to be doing stupid stuff as you would with alcohol. This is the way I've quit drinking anyway. 40 days in so far. So glad the podcast is back. You're doing amazing work. James, first of all, I'm going to start on a positive by saying congratulations on 40 days with no alcohol. And if that was causing a serious problem to you, then that is a massive achievement. So well done, and well done on your continued, I'd like to say sobriety, but you're not sober because you still smoke gear, but your continued, resisting of alcohol. But unfortunately, and this might be a bit controversial, I might lose a couple of people on this, but I've got to be honest, this whole thing is about honesty. I don't believe in smoking drugs I don't believe in replacing one unhealthy addiction with another unhealthy addiction. All right. If you're going to replace an addiction with an addiction, put it onto a healthy addiction, like running, cycling, boxing, something like that, exercise. Because unfortunately, mate, my view on addiction is it's all based around being uncomfortable in your own skin and not being able to sit in reality. See, my view on addiction and whether addiction is alcohol, drugs, anything, my view on it is that it's escapism, right? That you'll always be in trouble if you can't face reality, if you can't sit with uncomfortable thoughts and feelings, and if you're not comfortable in your own skin. It's as simple as that. So by not drinking and replacing it with another substance that makes you feel something apart from reality, I think is you know, it's a step in the wrong direction. But still, I still would say, James, that if alcohol was causing you problems and cannabis doesn't, then it's a great start. I think it's an amazing start. And I certainly think that that cannabis is better for you than alcohol, 100%. It causes less deaths. It causes less trouble. You're less, but there still is a lot of negative side effects to cannabis. There's some people very close to me that are addicted to smoking weed, and it's devastating for your self-esteem. I call it ambition killer, James, to be honest with you. That's what I say. I say it to a couple of people. I won't name them, but I say to them, it's bloody ambition killer. It's killing your ambition. You know what I mean? Like the next day, I used to smoke it. I used to smoke solid. I used to smoke weed. I used to have a joint after work and before bed when I was in my early 20s. And I just was quite happy with doing fuck all when I was smoking weed, and quite happy with it. That's not me, man. I want to take over the world. I want to achieve my dreams, and I want to push forward. So although you're making a step in the right direction, it's still a step in the wrong direction. And to me, if you truly want to reach your full potential and be happy, you got to completely kick all substances, because although you might not be getting a come down or a hangover, you certainly get a drop in mood and a feel of being lethargic and not wanting to do anything when you're off the weed and not smoking. But what I would say to you, James, is you've made a positive step. 100% you've made a positive step in your life by addressing that there's a problem with alcohol. So if I was you, it would be like it slowly catch the worm. But it depends. You might be quite happy smoking weed for the rest of your life, and that you may have made enough of a positive change in your life that your life can see. I don't preach sobriety. I don't tell people they shouldn't drink and they shouldn't take drugs. That's not my place, and I enjoyed doing both for a long time. It's all about, to me, it's all about, does it affect your work? Does it affect your relationship with the people you love? And does it affect your mental health? If smoking weed does any of those three things, and I'm pretty sure it affects mental health pretty bad, especially with paranoia. But if you've got those three things under control and you're in a better place than you was drinking, then more power to you. But if not, that's your next step. Work on that. But for me, I love being completely sober and not escaping reality. I say I don't escape reality, but when I run, I lose myself, and if I'm boxing, I lose myself. But I think that's in a positive way. So I hope that helps. But James, listen, never preaching. Never preaching. Another one here.
Hello, mate. Congrats on 700 days sober and the return of the podcast. My question is...
This is Ryan.
I've just hit 1 year sober, and sometimes you kind of forget that you don't even drink. Like, it's become quite comfortable. But I used my 1 year anniversary as like a big driver in terms of a date. For you, as the milestones get bigger, do you still use dates as a goal, or do you take it literally day by day? Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Ryan. I think the dates and counting the days are vitally important to measure progress, and I think it's really, really important that you've got enough proof behind you that you can move forward. When I look at 700 days, it's a badge of honour. It's proof that for 700 days I've been able to overcome my mind, overcome those thoughts and triggers for 700 days. So I think it's important to keep count. I don't count every day. I don't look every day. I have a look and say it's like 625. I'm like, oh, I better check in a little bit of time, because it might be 700. So I don't count every day. I don't look every day. If I'm struggling with a day, if I want to drink, or if I want to use drugs, or if I'm feeling down or like I'm missing out, if I got FOMO, I'll check the sober app. I'll check the dates. I Am Sober is the app I use. I look at that number and I'm like, fuck yeah, mate. Fucking get some of that down, yo. I'm an absolute legend, So, yeah. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. going sober. I need that proof. I need to see that proof that I can do it. All right, here's one from In the Shed with Ryan podcast. He said, I did so from my other account, but I'm going to message it on here. I just wondered if you've ever tried mushrooms in a controlled environment to help with addiction. Well done on your 700 days. I'm not far behind. 584 days. Made a pact with my mum. Both of us going strong. Oh, I love that. First of all, Ryan, I love the fact that you're doing a pact with your mum. I've heard really good things about mushrooms, about how psychedelics and all that stuff can help with mental health. I've done DMT. We'll talk about that another time. I tried, that's a whole episode. I tried microdosing mushrooms, but only done like one microdose. Someone gave me a pot of all the microdoses, and I had like one thing out of them, like a tablet out of them. Got in the bath, and I was staring out the window for ages and thought the trees looked really nice. But that was not when I went sober. That was before. I'd done it for my ADHD. That was while I was still drinking. I made a commitment to myself when I decided to go sober that the only thing that would ever alter how I felt would be coffee, and that's the only thing, and sugar, obviously, but. Yeah, I just don't want to. I know it's not a risk, and people say it's not addictive, but I just don't want to take the risk. I don't want to get into something that gives me escapism from my life. I just don't want to get into it. I don't. So I won't risk it. But if it works for you, I don't know. If it works for you, then great. But again, it's the same as the weed. I need to be present. All right.
I've just seen your story about asking for questions. How do you tell people, like, oh, like, I'm not drinking, or what's the reason why? Like, without saying, oh, I'm an addict. Because people can take that the wrong way, can't they? But yeah, just a little question, mate. Nice one.
All right, that's from James Robbo. That's a great question. How do you tell people that you're not drinking anymore, and without saying that you're an addict? Because there's such negative connotations with the taboo. That's a great question. And I think that I always say this: I got an unhealthy relationship with drink and drugs, so I don't do it no more. Simple as that. I got an unhealthy relationship with drink and drugs, so I don't do it anymore. Or it makes me feel shit. No, I'm not drinking. It makes me feel shit. It makes me feel shit. Oh no, I don't drink. No, I'm working on myself. But also, don't play it off, man. It's perfectly fine to say that you're an addict, or I personally, I say it. I saw Tom Hardy say it once, and he just went, I'm an addict, so I can't really do that. And I watched him and I thought, yeah, man, fucking is what it is, mate. You know what I mean? It's the same as being, I don't know, dyslexic. I don't know, do you know what I mean? I'm an addict. Because the truth of the matter is, but you don't want to get into this, because I completely understand what you mean, James, because people make their judgments and assessments on you very quick. If you say you're an addict, they imagine you shooting up or smoking crack in a fit. Not saying that's bad, but I'm saying like they just seem to, even that, even someone that smokes crack or someone that does heroin, it's exactly the same. It's an addiction, but they picture that you're going out robbing people for a crack addict, or because you're a crack addict or you're a heroin addict. When for some reason people that are addicted to alcohol, it's the same bloody thing. Everyone's addicted to something, aren't they? Whether you're scrolling on your phone or you're shagging or watching naughty videos. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, the connotations are there. But personally myself, I would simply say I got an unhealthy relationship with drink and drugs, so I just steer clear of them. Do you know what I mean? And but I'm with the crackheads and the heroin addicts, mate. I'm happy to just say I'm an addict, because I believe I'm the same as them. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, because people seem to put alcohol and cocaine on a pedestal above crack and heroin, but it's just flavours. Everyone's got their own flavour, and I don't believe that we're any different. It's just harder to get off heroin and crack than it is maybe cocaine and alcohol, but I don't believe we're any different. Right, this one is from Alex. It would be good to get some tips on avoiding drinking on a lad's holiday, or to hear a discussion around it. don't go, mate. It's as simple as that. Do not go on a lad's holiday, you fucking nutter. I wouldn't, especially if you're in the early stages of sobriety. Why would you want to put yourself through that? I don't think I'd even go now, to be honest with you. I'd go away. I went away on a golf trip with 3 of my mates that don't drink much. That was fine. But if my mates were going away on a lad's holiday for a piss up, I'd just swerve it. Why would you want to do that? It's torture. I would not trust myself. I just wouldn't put myself in that position. I'll tell you what it's like. You know, if you don't want to cheat on your missus, right, don't go back to a house party with 2 birds and you and your mate for a sesh. As soon as that option pops up, do you want to come back with me and you two and us two back there? I'm not going to cheat on my missus, but I'll go back anyway because it sounds fun. Just don't do it. Don't do it. So why would you go away? Swerve it. Ben Harris, let's do this one.
Yes, Pat. So I've been sober now 13 months and always get told by peers, why do you even become sober? Because you didn't even drink that much. In your opinion, do you need to have a problem before you stop drinking? Or is it, actually better, do you think, to stop before it even becomes a problem?
Man, that's a very good question. Mate, listen, if you don't have to be smashing your missus up or getting done drink driving or falling out of a window or falling over and smashing your head open or getting into a fight to have had a problem with alcohol. All you need to do, all it is it needs, even if it makes you feel awful and gives you too much anxiety or you just don't like the feeling, it's okay to stop doing it. The pure fact that we even have to answer that question is insanity to me. Why do we have to ask the question, how far does it have to go for us to get sober? How far does it have to go to give it up? Would you say that about anything else? Would you say that about bananas? How many bananas do I have to eat before I should stop eating bananas? I'm not having a go at you. I'm having a go at society's norms around drinking. Imagine that you've just decided that you no longer want to drink alcohol because it doesn't serve you, and your friends are stood around you saying, mate, you didn't kill anyone, or you never done this, you never done that, why have you stopped drinking? And I think that the reason why this happens to us is clear. It's because when you decide to give something up that everyone else is doing, sometimes it's like holding a mirror up to them and they don't like seeing what they see. I had this a lot from my friends. What do you mean you were doing too much? Mate, you don't even do as much as us. Yeah, and you're fucked as well. So it's as simple as that, man. I think that at the end of the day, if something does not serve you, you are well within your right to cut it out. There doesn't have to be a limit at all. Great question. I'm going to call it there. Right, listen, thank you very much for watching and listening. I don't know if I went on some mad tangents or if any of that made sense, but I just like to bear all as honest as I can with these things. And I want to make sure that you go away from this working on choosing a better you. That's all this is always about, choosing a better you. Like I said in the last episode, you know what I mean? You can choose the version of you want to be. Do you want to be the old version of you or the new version of you? This is about working on the new version of you. And remember, the key to this episode, you are not your thoughts. I want you to start seeing your thoughts as balls of energy. And if that made sense to you, or you just think I was chatting absolute nonsense, then let me know in the comments, because I don't know if I'm just tapped in the head or if this is actually stuff that I'm learning that's coming out. But I'm enjoying talking about it. Please like, comment and share. Comment and like on the YouTube gets it out there, but also the feedback lets me know if this is going in the right direction. Feel free to share this with people you think are struggling, and work on yourself, choose yourself, and thank you for tuning in. That was another Menace to Sobriety, and I love being sober, and I love you. Thank you. If you're going through a tough time at the moment, please don't suffer in silence. Feel free to pick up the phone and contact any of these helplines. I personally, myself, at one of my darkest points, contacted the Samaritans, and it completely changed my outlook and got me out of a really deep, dark place. A problem shared really is a problem halved. So if you don't feel confident talking to those around you, check out any of these organisations and give them a call. This is my Facebook group. Just simply search on Facebook, Men and Their Emotions. It's for men only, but once you're in there, you can talk anonymously about your problems and help others and just feel a little bit of community. So come join the conversation, Men and Their Emotions, on Facebook. Thanks for watching.
Menace to sobriety. Just a menace. Just a menace. Just a menace. Menace to sobriety. Just a menace. Just